Meseches Bava Kamma Daf Yud Gimel wraps up the Gemara's discussion about which karbonis, which types of kachim belong to their owners and which belong to Shemayim. And then the Gemara will refer back to our Mishnah and work through the next few lines where we have exceptions to the halachas of Nezikin, and the Gemara will work through them one at a time. So first of all, the Gemara notes that we've said that we've had a whole machlokes as to which karbonis, which kachim are considered to belong to their owners or not. The Gemara had said Zedrasha Umal Amal Bashem, which is to say that it's a lima that includes that there is a shvuas hapikodain. If you're watching someone's object, you do have to swear that you didn't do anything to it if it got destroyed. That is something which generally only applies to chulin, but there's a pasuk that it includes that Umal Bashem to include that it happens that it applies as well to a certain type of a kachim. The question is what? So Mara goes back to that. It's been mentioned before. So the Gemara says in Machlokes, Rabbi Yosef Glili says it refers to kachim kalim. Ben Azai says it refers to shlomim. Ben Yasi ben Distoi says that Ben Azai only was referring to bukhar. Now the Gemara asks on our version of Ben Azai. Rabbi Yosef Glili had said kachim kalim, and Ben Azai said no, only shlomim. As opposed to what? What kachim kalim that's not shlomim is he excluding? So the Gemara has two options. The Gemara first wants to say that is to exclude a bukhar. That a bukhar you do not have a shvuas hapikodain. Someone says that wouldn't make sense. If you have it by a shlomim, you should certainly have it by a bechar. Shlomim has smicha, nisachim, and the waving of the chaz of a shaykh, and therefore it is much more close to karbonis. It is much more kodesh, and still you say that it is considered to be the owner's money to the extent that you do have to swear shuvas hapikodain to him. So bechar, certainly you should be able to do that. Bechar is something you don't even have to bring as a carbon if it has a mum or if it's in chutz la'aretz, so certainly you should be able to do that. So now the Gemara says the second option is Brapa Rabbi Yechon, and he says to exclude meiser. The Gemara shows Brisa that Bechar is much more redeemable than meiser is. About Bechar, the Torah says leisipadid, don't redeem it. Yet, if it gets into a situation where it could get a mum, you do redeem it. So if it has a mum, you redeem it. If it's alive and it does not have a mum yet, but it still could get a mum, so you can sell it, and then the purchaser can wait until it gets a mum. And therefore, it is pretty much redeemable under those circumstances. About Maisa, though, it doesn't say Sifta, it says Lo Yigoel, and we have a drasha there that Lo Yigoel means that it cannot be sold, not alive, not dead, not with a mum, not without a mum. There is no redemption on it. And therefore, it is only Karbonis, and therefore, Meiser is considered to be not the money of the owner at all. Now, the Gemara has a second version of this whole exchange, and it's not going on our understanding of Ben Azai, it's going on Rav Yosef ben Destoy's understanding of Ben Azai. His version of Ben Azai was that he said that only a Bechor is the mum in Bailim. And the Gemara says Bechor to exclude what? The Gemara's first attempt is Bechor to exclude a Shlomim. Only Bechor is a mum in Bailim, but not a Shlomim. And here the Gemara's kasha is Bechor has Kedusha from the moment it's born. It's much more likely to be not mum in Bailim. And yet, if you tell me that Bechor is mum in Bailim, certainly Karban Shlomim, which becomes Kaddish in the middle of its life, should certainly be mum in Bailim. It was before. And therefore, the Gemara brings in Yechanan who says, no, it's talking about Meiser. Meiser is not mum in Bailim because it's not redeemable, like we said before. Only Bechor and Shlomim are redeemable. So Gemara asks, what do you mean? We said only Bechor. That's exclude Shlomim also. And now you're telling me that Shlomim is also included? Only Bechor means only Bechor, not just excluding Meiser. It's Bechor and not Meiser, not Shlomim. So Gemara leaves it as a kasha. Now, the Gemara refers briefly back to our Mishnah where we had said that the only thing that you're chayiv to pay for the hezek is if it's nechasim she'im behem me'ilah, things which do not have me'ilah, which means things which aren't kachim. But the Gemara is medayik that there are some kachim that don't have me'ilah. So we had said that those things you do have to pay for the hezek because there's no me'ilah, but they are kachim. So the Gemara brings, Rava interprets it differently. He says nechasim she'im behem me'ilah refers only to things which belong to a hedyet. All kachim are excluded. Not all kachim have me'ilah. Okay, but they all have din me'ilah. They all have the concept of me'ilah, the concept of hektish. And therefore, when we say nechas me'ilah, we mean hedyet. So the Gemara says, why don't you just say property which belongs to a regular individual? Why did it say nechas me'ilah? He says, okay, that's a bit of a kasha. The Gemara now brings another halacha in kachim and nezikin. The Gemara of Rabbi who says that if a carbon shlomim, an animal which is set aside to be a carbon shlomim, goes ahead and is mazik another animal, the halacha is you can only collect the payment from the flesh of the shlamim and not from the emurim, the parts which go on the mizbeach of the shlamim. Now this is talking about a tam where you're only paying chatzi nezek, and the nezek that you're paying only comes from the mazik, the shar mazik, that animal itself. Its value is what you use to pay. So it's limited to the flesh and not the emurim. You don't have to give the emurim. So we're asking you don't have to give the emurim. Of course you don't have to give the emurim. The emurim go on the mizbeach. They're moment gavaya for sure. The shlamim we could call moment head, maybe according to some opinions, but that's only the meat that you eat from the shlamim, not the emurim. Someone says, no, we're not talking about giving the meat or the emurim themselves. We're talking about the value. The payment of the hezek is limited to the value of the animal, and when it's half the payment, it's limited to the value of half the animal. So here, when we calculate the half of the animal, calculate only the basar of the animal. We don't include the emurim in that amount. And the reason is because the emurim are not considered to be the value, they're not considered to be the possession of the mazik, of the owner, and therefore they're not included in the value that you use to pay it. Now you may have thought, so take the emurim out and make up for what's missing from the emurim from the basar. But no, you don't do that at all. You don't take more than, you just take the emurim out, you take the basar, that's the only thing that's meshubah to this payment, and because it's chatzir nezek, you only take half of it. So Gemara asks that we have to examine the machlekes between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Nassan to see which of those two opinions fit with us. And that machlekes is when there are two people or two possessions for two different people that are involved in a hezek, and you can't pay fully from one, do you have to pay from the other? The situation the other is not chayav. The case is where a shar pushes another shar into a bar. Now, the Baal bar is not chayav anything because his bar didn't do anything. A shar pushed another shar in there. Now, the Baal HaShar is only chayav half because it's Karen and he's a tam, so he has to pay half. So, if he were to pay, if he was fully responsible, he would only pay half. Here, he has a shared responsibility, so he only has to pay half the half. So, he really only has to pay a quarter. So, what is the halach over here? Since he's only paying a quarter, what is the Baal bar's chiyuv? So the halach over there is that it's a machlekes Rabbanan and Rabbi Nassan. The Rabbanan hold the Baal HaShar pays a quarter, and the Baal Bar pays nothing because he didn't do anything. Rabbi Nassan says no. You could go to the Baal Bar. Since you can't collect fully from the Baal HaShar, you could go to the Baal Bar, and the Baal Bar has to pay the rest of the 3/4. Now, applying that to our case, the Rabbanan, it should be obvious that just like you can't collect anything from the Baal Bar, you can't collect anything from the emurim, and there's no reason why the vasar of the animal should have to pick up what the emurim couldn't be used for. And according to Rabbi Nassan, it shouldn't be true, because just like the Baal Bar has to pay whatever the Baal HaShar did not have to pay, the basar should have to pay whatever the emurim do not have to pay. So the Gemara therefore has to answer. The Gemara says it could really fit with either of them. The Gemara says it could fit with the Rabbanon because you could say that there's a very big difference between the case of the basar and the emurim of one animal, which is a shlamim, and the case of the bar and the shar, which is two different people, two different objects owned by two different individuals. In that case, the Rabbanon say that you don't have to pay. The Baal HaBar doesn't need to pay anything, because he could say, what did I do? I'm not responsible to you. I own a bar. The bar's not responsible to you at all. However, here, the entire animal is responsible, and therefore the person coming to collect could say, I collect from wherever I want to collect from. The full responsibility is on you. Now, we could say, or at least I would have had a Havamina to say that, if not for the fact that Rabbi Abba came and told me otherwise, that you cannot. Now, I could also say that in Rabbi Nassan over here, and the case of the Baal Shar and the Baal Bar is different because over there the Baal HaBar is really fully responsible. The dead shar was found in his bar, so he bears full responsibility. Now, he could try to dump off some of that on the shar for pushing him in there, but anything the shar doesn't have to pay, the default reverts back to the Baal HaBar that he needs to pay. Over here, there is no default responsibility over here. You don't say that the emurim or the basar was mazik more than the other, and therefore I would have said that there's no reason why the emurim should have to be, that why the amount that you can't collect from the emurim, you should be able to pick up from the basar, and that's what it's being mechadish to me, that you cannot pick it up from the basar. Okay, next halacha the Gemara brings is about a korban toida that was mazik. If you set aside an animal as a korban toida, you're bringing it as a thanks to Hashem for Yeshua. You also have to bring 40 loaves of bread with it that are eaten together with it, and that's what's fulfills the obligation of bringing the korban taida. So Rava says if this animal is mazik someone, you can only collect from the animal itself, not from the bread's value. So Gemara says, of course not. The bread wasn't mazik. Why should I collect from the bread? So Gemara says, no. We mean to say the chiddush is the next line, which is that even though the nizik collects the animal, and he takes the animal and he eats it, it's still miskaper for the owner, for the person who owns the taida and brought it, even though he keeps the lechem for himself. So that means that the mazik eats the lechem, the nizik eats the basar, and it works. It's miskaper. So Gemara says, what's the chiddush in that? So the chiddush might be that the mazik should be able to say, why should I bring the breads if you're eating the meat? The breads are only a chiv on the carbon, and I'm not bringing the carbon. So in that we answer, no, the breads are chiv on the bailam, and the one who has to bring the carbon. And you still have to bring the bread, even though the other person's eating the meat. Okay, referring back to the Mishnah, the next line in the Mishnah had said that the only one that you need to pay for hezek is if it's property of a ben bris, meaning Yisrael. Someone has to exclude what? To exclude in Ovid Kichavim. It says that in the next line. It says that a shar of Yisrael that gores a shaman Ovid Kichavim, you don't need to pay. Someone says, yeah, it's explaining itself. It's ton of a hadar mefarish. It's not two separate halachas. Okay, next line in the Mishnah was that the shar that's mazik has to be individualized, has to belong to an individual. Someone says, what's the chiddush on that? So Gemara says it means that you can't have a suffix whose shar was mazik. Let's say you had two oxen running after a third ox, and you don't know who's the one who attacked it in the end. You can't collect anything, because each one will say, bring me a proof that it was mine, and you can't prove it. So the Gemara says that we say this in the next Mishnah, why we have to repeat it here. So Gemara says again, a ton of other mefarish, it's explaining what this line meant. Now, the Gemara quotes a parallel brisa to this that says that this line, that there's a specific owner, is to exclude if the shar is hefker. It doesn't belong to anyone. So Gemara says, what case is he talking about? If the shar that you were mazik belongs to hefker, of course you don't have to pay. Who are you going to pay? No one owns it. And if you mean that the shar that damaged you was hefker, so it's hefker, so go be kind of the shar. You take that as payment for the damage that happened to you. So Gemara says, no, we're talking about where someone else ended up being a kind of that shar before you could, but after it damaged you. So for the time that it damaged yours, it was hefker, and now it belongs to him. Could you go collect from him now that he owns the shar? The answer is no. Now, a third shot of what this means, Gemara quotes Ravina, is as to exclude if it belonged to a private individual at the time of the attack, but then he was either makdish or mafkirid. There, he does not have to pay either, because the shar is no longer his at the time that the psak is issued. So Gemara quotes a brisa that says this as well. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yehuda said even more so, even more than that. Even if a ox gored and then afterwards you were makdish or became hefker, you putter from having to pay, because it says v'huad b'bola v'hemis ish. And we learn from there that it has to be that the misa, the attack, the killing, and the hamad b'din, bringing it to court, both have to be where there's b'volov, where there's an owner. So Gemara says, what about the gemardin, the actual passing of judgment? You left that out of the list of things that there has to be an owner. You mean to say that if he's mafkirid or makdashit between the hamad b'din and the gemardin, you still chayiv? That can't be, because the pasuk there is specifically talking about the gemardin. And it says Balha, it says V'huad B'vov, it's talking about Bal Hashar Yisakel. Hashar Yisakel. That's the Gemardin. So the Gemara therefore adjusts and says, no, all three have to be. The attack, the Misa, and the Hamad B'din, and the Gemardin. The Gemara now refers to the next line in the Mishnah, which discusses which property the hezek is in that you should be chayiv for. So what the Mishnah said was three things. If it's in the property of the mazik, you're not chayiv, because the nizik shar doesn't belong there. That everybody agrees. Then it says property which belongs to both of them together in a partnership. It says that, and then it says and kishhezek chava mazik le-shalim tashlume nezik me'tavaret. So when the damage happens, you have to pay everything. The question is, this middle line of the property that belongs to both of them, is that going on what said before and saying that that property is also putter and there's no chiyuv to pay there? Or is it going on what it says later, and it's saying that you're chayiv there? So the Gemara quotes a machlokes about that. Machlokes is only going to be about shein and regel. Now, shein and regel, the halacha is that it's only chayiv in Rishos HaYachid. Rishos HaRabim, they're putter. Karen is chayiv even in Rishos HaRabim, and therefore certainly in a Rishos that's owned b'shutfis to both the nizik and the mazik. it's not any different than Rosh Hashanah where both people have a right to be there, both animals have a right to be there. So in Rosh Hashanah, certainly they have a right to be there. There wouldn't be any problem. It's Shein V'Regel that we're asking about. So Rav Chizda says in the name of Avimi that it's the middle phrase about Rosh Hashanah is going on what comes afterwards, and it's saying you're chayiv for Shein V'Regel there. And Rav Elazar says, no, you're putter on Shein V'Regel. It's kind of what I said before. The Rosh Hashanah Mazik and the Rosh Hashanah B'Shutfis, you're putter on both of them. Now, the question then is, what does it mean when it says afterwards? Because there's Hezek Chava Mazik. Meaning, I understand Rav Chizuk Hezek Chava Mazik is telling you that you're chayiv for the Rosh Hashanah. But according to Rav Elazar, the Rosh Hashanah is going back on the halacha that you're putter. So what do you think is Hezek Chava Mazik? So Gemara says that's to include Karen. That there's such a thing as Karen, which hadn't been mentioned in the Mishnah earlier. So Gemara says, hold on. We had a machlekes Rav and Shmuel when it said shar. What did that mean? According to Shmuel, shar meant shein, meant regel, and mava meant shein. So Karen wasn't mentioned. So now you're mentioning it here. But according to Rav, that mava was adam, and shar was all three things, Karen, shein, and regel. So Karen's already mentioned. So why do I need to include it here again? So Gemara says, you're right. This term, Kishezek Mazik, would be to include something else. It's to include the Shaimer. The Marcos Brisa that says Kishezek Mazik is to include Shemechinam, Shail, Nesischar, and Seicher. And somebody who's a watcher who's watching your object for free, someone who's using your object for free, someone that you're paying to watch it, or someone that's paying you to use it. All of these, if a hezek happens in their property, the tam has to pay half nezek, and muad has to pay nezek shalem. If it broke out at night, or if robbers broke it out, or if the wall fell and something you could do about it, then you're putter for it. Now, the Gemara goes briefly into the halachas of the shemrim. So the Gemara says that the shemer needs to pay the mazik. What's the case over here? Whose ox was mazik who? The Gemara goes through the options. If the mafkid's ox was mazik the ox of the shemer, so then he can say, you're responsible to watch my ox. If my ox would go be mazik someone else while you're watching it, you would have to pay for it. So now that he's mazik your own ox, I should have to pay for it. It's your responsibility. That doesn't make sense. And there's the other way around, that the shor of the shemer was mazik the shor of the mafkid. He should say, you're for sure responsible. You're supposed to take care of my shar. And now it got damaged by your own shar. As a matter of fact, you should have to pay nezek shalem, not chatzi nezek. If my ox, and while you're watching it, should get damaged by something else, you would have to pay nezek shalem. So now it was your own ox, you don't have to pay chatzi nezek. That doesn't make any sense. So the Gemara answers, no, we're talking about the situation where the ox of the mash'il, of the mafkid, was mazik the ox of the shael, of the shemer. But the situation, the reason that he can't say is your responsibility is that he was only makabel to watch the ox from being damaged, not to watch it from damaging others. And therefore, the fact that it damaged his own ox is the responsibility of the owner, not the responsibility of the shemer. So if that's true, so then how come the next line where we said that it broke out at night, he's responsible for it? You just told me he's not responsible at all for damages here. So we're saying, okay, so you have to add in, if he was makabel shmira and broke out at night, then he would have to pay for the damages.